So this would be the greatest time to talk about how awesome everybody is in chat because they've still stuck around.
Oh, there you go.
Can't hear me. Oh, they can hear me now? Oh, well, chat, we love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. So apologies for that. Pro streamers here, our tech goblins, have fixed the issue. Not sure what happened there, but welcome to the Games Tavern Happy Hour, where a bunch of us nerds get together and talk about, well, tabletop gaming news. We review different cool products that are out there, and we talk to the coolest people in the tabletop space. Don't forget to follow us on Twitch. It's free and supports the cast of the show. If you have Amazon Prime, you get a free Prime Gaming subscription, which you can use to support all of us on the Games Tavern. Prime Gaming subscribers also get access to sub-only emotes and also a special access to a special subscriber-only Discord channel where you get to see some cool behind-the-scenes stuff. Remember, you can watch us live on Twitch, and all shows are updated and uploaded to YouTube, typically 48 hours later, so you can catch up on all the cool interviews and reviews you may have missed. So now that I've rushed through all that, thanks to my issues with the sound that happened earlier, there is one other person that you may have seen flash on the screen but may not have heard up until recently. So glad to have you joining us tonight. Jeff, you want to say hello?
No, I really don't. I think I've seen it enough.
It's okay, Jeff. They can't hear you anyway.
Oh,
no, that's not true. No.
They can.
So tonight we're going to we're going to do some cool reviews or not reviews, but we're going to talk about the latest new releases. And we're also going to have an interview with Luna, also known as Gamer Mom Luna, everyone's favorite gamer mom and the host from Tales from the Tavern. She comes with a life story and depth in tabletop games as well. So she'll be really fun to talk to. We'll get to that about at the top of the hour, I think. So hang out with us and do a bunch of other cool stuff with us too. I'd also like to take a quick mention of our sponsor, Overhead Games. Thank you to Overhead Games for sponsoring tonight's show. We are going to be giving away a Overhead Games epic character generator tonight. Thanks to their support. From there, you have the chance to enter for that. Well, definitely do that. So the raffle for the package should have just begun shortly. It's a fantasy pack with 3 upgrade packs that you get and it's amazing. You may have seen us posting about it on social media as well. Some of the cool art that we've made with it. It's really fun. The only thing is you need to be a follower to enter, and you must be present in the chat for the staff to contact you to present the prize to you as the winner.
Means at the end of the stream.
Toward the end of the stream. So you kind of got to watch the whole thing. You got to really support us and mean it. Turn on that sound. Let's see here. So Jeff, I just want to bring this up early because it kind of matters. So the Velkin Weave.
I know. Wow. Such a, I think back upon last week's climactic ending, and it still boggles the mind at the actions. We knew he was going to do it.
He's kind of been talking about that tactic and technique for a while. We could do that for a problem. We could solve a problem this way.
Yeah, 100%. And for those that don't know what we're talking about, there was our climactic showdown with Tiamat in her Thane. Or Fane.
Thane. It was a Fane of Tiamat. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm not going to spoil what happened for those that didn't see or haven't caught up yet. If you want to go check it out, check out our YouTube page. That episode should be airing tomorrow or today?
It's I think it actually already processed and loaded, so we'll find out. If it's not, that episode on YouTube should be on either tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Just in time for people to catch up before the final season finale, which is tomorrow.
So go check it out. Find out what Quentin did at the end of the battle that saved all of us.
Exactly. From there, there's a lot of other cool things coming up because Whiskey, Magic, and Destruction is making its return.
Oh, you got a date?
Yeah, I believe it's, hold on one second. I'll pull it up here. I think it's 29 April. Yeah, 29 April.
29 April.
Yeah, so the end of the month will be the triumphant return of Whiskey, Magic, and Destruction. And I don't want to say, but it looks like another show is going to be starting on Monday, possibly the week after.
Ooh,
A new
what's
show. A new show.
what?
Uh,
No details, no
I'm
hints.
not admitting to anything yet. Nope.
Oh,
But
come
the
on,
cast, it's
gotta
a
give them something.
completely new cast. Some of whom you may have seen on some RPG short shots, and some of whom you may not have seen yet before. But they're amazing, and
All right,
they're having a blast in pre-production.
all
I've
right,
never heard so much laughter in the first 15 minutes of every call,
all
and then
right,
it keeps
Gandalf,
going.
keep your secrets.
You shall not pass, my friend. You shall not pass.
Mm.
Um, and then I'll rise and become Gandalf the White. Um, but definitely some cool stuff coming, and we're really excited about that. So while we're at it, um, I think now is a good time. Let's go ahead and get started with the news, and let's talk about what's coming up.
I was gonna say you're about halfway there, but okay.
Hey, there we go. We've transitioned to the cool news scene. Yay! All right, so let's start off with the cool thing that's coming from D&D Beyond.
Yeah, so D&D Beyond, it's been out for a while, right? So,
I've used it for quite
yeah,
a while. Yeah.
we're specifically talking about not just D&D Beyond on your computer, but the D&D Beyond apps. Currently, there's two. There's both a reader, which is where you keep all the books and all the resource. Wrong.
Source books, rules books. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think we skipped over a slide.
Oh, snap. What happened there? Whoops. Boom. There we go. I must have hit something on accident. Don't worry.
Uh,
We'll tell you what that next thing is later.
Trust me, the slide itself doesn't really tell you anything. This is the old slide from, or not the old slide. This is the old, because there's not really any new information. There's not a lot of information, but so you had two different apps that D&D Beyond had. They had their player app, which is where your character sheets would reside from the D&D Beyond website, and you could use them. You could cycle through them. You couldn't edit them though. You could roll dice now. You can manage your spells. You can kind of manage what equipment you have on and off and stuff like that. Your abilities, stuff, and so on and so forth. And then the separate app, which was the reader app, which is where all the books are kept. So D&D Beyond announced last week that they are combining the two into a single app. And as long as you have the D&D Beyond player app, you're set. They're basically going to get rid of the reader and just fold it into the player app, as well as they mention new features. But they don't specify what those features are. They go into a couple things in the write-up, but none of them are really things that scream different than what it already does, right? There was an update on the 30 March, so there was an update just a couple weeks ago. So I don't know if they've already started implementing some things, but nothing big seems to have changed. You can so some of the things that I know people want are being able to modify your character sheet from the app. So hopefully that's coming. The other is being able,
that's a big one. That's a huge one right now.
which you can, what's interesting is that you can modify your spells, like the entire spell list is there that you have access to, but your equipment, you can't add or you can't get new equipment onto your character sheet. You have to go to the application or to the website and add anything like that. The other thing it talks about is a streamlined or a guided character creator, and it's sort of there, but it's the exact same one from the website. So I don't know if that's what they mean or if they're going to be doing a revamp of it for the app specifically. Then there's some other talk about some GM stuff, like your notes maybe or something that will be on there. Again, not very specific, but it is really good news and that it's going forward. I haven't. I've tested at least the player app on my phone. It looks to be an amazing app. Like definitely, if I ever showed up at a table and I did have my character sheet, 100% you could use this app.
Oh yeah, well I've done it. I've
Yeah.
done this. Yeah, I've definitely used the app forever. I use it on the iPad as well. And most of my private games when I was playing at a table before times, I use the app almost exclusively.
So
Yeah.
and so it's kind of a wait and see right now. What's interesting is that there was a little bit of talk on their Twitter, but that's the same announcement on the website was
Mhm.
not replicated anywhere else in their social media streams. So I'm not exactly sure if there's a disconnect or if or what. It just because it just felt kind of like you say this new thing, okay, the consolidation, that's cool. You're getting rid of an old app, but then they're talking about all these new features, but then everything they're talking about in there is already done. So who knows? Who knows where it's going? It's going in a positive direction at least. So
As long as there's constant, never-ending improvement, the
yeah,
app will be fine.
yeah,
Yeah, it'll
agreed.
work out great. All right, so moving on to that slide that we kind of teased people with before we were supposed to, the Fists of the Ruby Phoenix Player's Guide. Now this one's pretty cool. So talk us through this, because you actually put all this one together, and I'm not as spun up on this one, but I'm really impressed with everything that I did catch on it. So tell
So
us all about this one.
this is one of the this is for one of the Pathfinder adventure paths, the Fists
Mm-hmm.
of the Ruby Phoenix tournament campaign that is coming. Specifically, it's to go along with the first adventure path, which is Despair on Danger Island, which is already available. In this player's guide, you're going to get a brief history of the tournament, of the world. It's going to highlight what adventuring in this world is going to be like, and describes not only the archipelago that you're going to be traveling around, but also the main city. It's got new characters. For it has suggestions for creating new characters, as well as using an existing character and giving it some new fluff to more fit better into this world. New character backgrounds that are more specific for this adventure path. Attention addict, newcomer in need, second chance champion as some additional backgrounds, because this is a tournament that you're going to be competing in. And as part of that tournament, your fighting team, you have inspiring tables to help you randomly or deliberately choose your themes, motivations, strength, weaknesses, quirks, and more. We actually have one of the pages from there where it helps you show the fighting team that you're forming for this campaign. Also, of course, is a full page of the area Tianxia, or Tianxia, and as well, all the tournament rules and the pre-tournament rules are also included for your campaign. So really cool player's guide. I like tournament. I like the idea of of a player character participating in a tournament, um, and having to win to advance, and perhaps even what happens when you don't win.
Uh, could can you tell me a little more about anything on terms of the tournament itself? Like, is there like a constant flow of tournaments that you're fighting in? Is it just something that's sprinkled in between the adventures where, oh, it is time to go to tournament, we must fight, like at a,
No, this is the
uh,
primary driver of this campaign cycle. Like you are traveling to this area to participate in the tournament. Now, if there's things that you can do between bouts, perhaps. I didn't exactly read it front to back, but
interesting, interesting. So with that, let's go on to the next one.
some new stuff from Paizo. It's their Stanley monthly release. We kind of skipped it in March. It got delayed, but here is their stuff that just came out here in the beginning of April. First up, their bestiary, not bestiary. Read
Yeah, I gave you grief over that earlier, and then I realized,
best
no, I was the guy who was wrong about your pronunciation.
Bestiary 3 book. It's got over 300 captivating creatures and fantastic foes that pack its pages. It comes in, the collector's edition, standard edition, and the pocket sized edition. It's got classic creatures like Clockworks and Flumps, returning favors like Imperial Dragons and Mighty Titans, brand new menaces from all over Galarian. This tomb of monsters is an essential companion for your Pathfinder game. In addition to that, there's Pathfinder Bounty number 8, which is another one of their repeatable bounty, like basic quest story arcs that you can add to your game. This is designed for level 1 characters and is your standard caravan guard quest. Simple enough, at least on the surface. Now, whoever knows what lies in the secrets of that, there might be a twist, perhaps. And then there's finally 2 new adventure paths for Starfinder, Pathfinder, respectively. Mission are part 5 of 6 of the Fly Free or Die campaign for Starfinder called Crash and Burn.
That's always a good thing that you want to get started. You know, when your adventure starts and the title is called Crash and Burn, you know what's coming.
Yeah, but I mean, your 9th level character, you should be prepared to face some.
Just means you burn longer.
Yeah.
And what's the next one?
And then from Pathfinder, Abomination Vaults, part 3 of 3. So the conclusion of the Abomination Vaults, Eyes of Empty Death. I love that name. And it is for 8th level characters. So 2 new continuations of existing stories. Definitely, if you were already participating in these are great news for you because you can jump in and continue those adventures. Of course, you can always go back and find the previous ones for those arcs to start at the beginning. There's a couple other things if you go to the link, some other little knickknacks, some more map stuff, and other things like that. And then next slide, also included was the Pathfinder Magic Armaments deck. This is a deck of 110 cards detailing every magic, armor, weapon, and shield in the core rulebook, as well as some runes and special materials. This is in line with Pathfinder's other decks that they've been building, and it complements them, such as the Pathfinder Adventure Gear deck, the Pathfinder Weapons and Armor deck, that are both available now, as well as the Pathfinder Potions and Talismans decks, which is coming at the end of the month, April 28th. So this one is just released last week. So now by the end of the month, there will be 4 decks that you can build out and have your equipment actually physically in front of you, instead of just on your character sheet. I like some of these things. The cards, they have the statistics, descriptions, and they just look cool.
They've got some great art on them too.
I like the idea of having your equipment in front of you.
Do you?
Yeah, so some people are visual, right? Some people have better memories. I have a really shitty memory. So having the stuff in front of me to remind me, oh yeah, I've got that thing. So like, for instance, having your 5 potions in front of you instead of on your buried in your character sheet somewhere, you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I have potions.
I have potions for that. Yeah. I can get to that. Yeah, I can get it. I can understand that. That makes sense. Yeah. What about now? They're gonna have 4 separate decks for these, right?
So, yes, the 3 are out already. The 4th one comes out at the end of the month.
Okay.
And it's
Potions and Talismans.
Yeah, it basically covers everything that you could ever wear in this core book.
That's pretty cool. That's absolutely interesting. Now, are you playing Pathfinder yourself, Jeff?
I haven't played Pathfinder in a while, but I think it's just because I've been playing a lot of D&D recently. I played a little bit of 2nd edition when the beta rules came out. I just haven't played since then.
Okay. The beta rules are pretty cool. Well, they're now 2nd edition rules, so definitely check it out when you get a chance. A little crunchier than say like 5e, but it's a very solid setup.
No. I mean, I played 3.5. I played Pathfinder 1st edition. Like I said, I did beta test some of the 2nd edition, and it just seemed solid. The people I've been around, there hasn't been a interest in that. Like I said, we've been more focused on 5e, but hopefully at some point we can get back there and get a game in. Because I like all the paths. I like all these adventure paths and stuff. It opens up a lot of opportunity to take the load off of GM, to allow them to focus on other things.
Definitely. Well, transitioning quickly to something that I love very much is miniatures. So we've got the Firefight playtest, and it's actually for Firefight 2nd edition from Mantic Games. So Firefight 1st edition is a medium-sized skirmish war game set in the Warpath universe. It goes deeper into the action with this one, zooming in and allowing you to decide the fate of your soldiers in smaller conflicts. Firefight uses the Warpath miniatures range and shares some core mechanics. The second edition rules are due for release in 2022, but Manic wants you to get involved with helping them playtest the rules for second edition. So generally, they want Firefight second edition to play much faster, scale up easier from Dead Zone, so rather than scaling down from Warpath. So as a result, the new Firefight will share some rules in common with Dead Zone, and even uses D8s, which is kind of specific, right? Another element was to make the game fairly small. A typical game can be played on a 4 foot by 4 foot table. However, there are rules flexible enough to scale this down to 3x3 and scale up to a 6 foot by 4 foot table. The playtest rules are available now for download for select factions, with more to be added later. This is going to be really interesting to see a miniatures company put so much out to playtest to open playtest. You know?
Oh yeah, no, it's really interesting too, because Mantic is really going hard because they just had a second edition set of rules come out for their fantasy line of skirmish game, this fantasy skirmish game. So now this is their more advanced, not advanced, futuristic game is also getting advanced rule or an updated rule set for its skirmish game. So they're going pretty hard at this, and I love it.
By starting almost a year in advance, they're going to get a lot of great feedback to update their rule sets. They'll probably get about good serious batch of feedback, and people are gonna really provide a lot of information on this.
And they did talk about how the developer for the playtest or for these second edition rules basically has spent his entire pandemic time working on these rules. So he's been locked in a basement writing nonstop for over a year now. They're finally ready to put this out in the wild for playtesting.
Wow, that's pretty prolific. Moving on to the next cool thing, Reaper Miniatures is talking about their new April releases. So Romag Davel Thief is sculpted by Bobby Jackson. You can see that they're in full gorgeous color for the new Reaper Bones USA. We also have 2 male ghosts sculpted by Bob Ridolfi and Jason Weeb. You have also 3 female ghosts sculpted by Julie Guthrie, and of course, Charon, Lord of the Stick, sculpted by Chris Lewis. You can see him with his oar or his guiding keel, depending on how you want to position the model.
I will say that thief is so iconic. It's such a good model.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the things that hopefully some supporters send me like 2 or 3 of those to knock out, because that's going to be a fun one to do. I'm pretty sure of it for me, because I want to do that in brown. I want to do that in a set of grays, and then I want to do a colorful version with reds and blues and stuff, and see what we can do with that. It's a hot model. It's the smoothness of the model is what gives you room as a painter to, enjoy working the folds and the highlights, but you can also have room for it to add all sorts of cool filigree or other details should you decide you want to go that route. So
right,
definitely some opportunity there.
Yeah, the quality Bones USA continues to knock it out. The rest of them are the normal Bones range, but the Bones USA ones are still just so excellent looking.
Yeah, I can't ever complain about the Bones USA at this point. The ghosts are interesting. Don't need to paint them. Just throwing them on the table, right?
I mean, yeah, for all intents and purposes.
You could just leave them there as semi-translucent ghosts. You could paint them. You could even stain them. Perhaps put an ink on them and add more detail. It's up to you. A dark wash on those bad boys would probably pull out a lot of details and still let it be translucent.
Yeah, the use of a white background for the photography does make them lose a little bit there.
I don't know that black would help it either. It's literally a translucent model. I've got a couple of them and they're clear.
I'm thinking like gray or something.
Yeah. Next up, our usual beasts of the miniatures world, Games Workshop is releasing an Adeptus Titanicus Warmaster Titan. So before you get all excited, this is not for Warhammer 40,000. This is for the game Adeptus Titanicus. It's now available for pre-order, the new Warmaster Titan. This thing is absolutely the monster that it was in the previous edition. It definitely looks different than the previous edition, because the previous edition had a single defense laser turret and a cathedral on its back. This does not. but it doesn't have the steps with troops coming out of it. Like it used to also be a siege machine that was full of troops as well. They've done a little different styling on this. It's probably, from what I can tell, it's armed a heck of a lot more. It looks like there's 4 defense lasers on there. There's at least ridiculous amounts of missile launchers, quad mounted plasma destroyers. The list of weapons on this thing is ridiculous. So, and it even has weapons in its knee joints, because, nothing says I'm going to stomp you to death like my knee guns and my knee missile launcher crushing you before me. For Adeptus Titanicus, this is not for scale for 40K. However, if this was for 40K, for those who are 40K people, this will probably be about 26 inches tall. It would be a massive piece on the battlefield. In Adeptus Titanicus, this is also a massive piece on the battlefield. It's 6.5 inches tall, which makes it extremely tall compared to all the other pieces you'd have there. So it could literally kick some of the other Titans to pieces, provided they could kick. The model is insanely detailed, just like everything else that we would expect for this miniature. This is a capital Titan. So this is no small beast at all. It would be a capital war machine. This is what this would often focus also as the headquarters of a unit, and only the very best would get their chances at such a powerful weapon system to stride the battlefield. So definitely check them out if you're into that. It's a great piece, and well, if you're playing Titanicus, it's a must-have.
I think it's going to be a good one for just a general modeler as well, because it's a lot of pieces. So there's going to be a lot of maybe posability in that, a little bit of flex in all those pieces.
Definitely. Let's talk about the next piece, which is related. The Adeptus Titanicus Loyalist Legios book set. Along with this new model is the newest edition of the Adeptus Titanicus rule set, this time for the Loyalist Legios, detailing the Titan legions and knight houses which fought to defend the Imperium. It's revised. It has updated rules for how to assemble your force, including where the new War Master Heavy Titan fits in, and 16 different Titan legions are detailed. So it looks like, part of this makes me look at it and think, wow, this looks a whole lot like a Forge World book, but it's not, so it's got the same kind of looks and styling. The artwork is, of course, the artwork you'd expect. And of course, it's going to have all those details so you can make a truly unique Titan Legios.
Yeah, it's got a full rule set. It's everything that you need. You basically need this in order to really make the loyalists stand out and be able to crush those Chaos Titans.
Yeah, and then it's got the Ordo Sinister with the PSI Titans as well. So watch out, Psychic Titans. Next, we're talking about Age of Sigmar models, or are we? What happened? Oh, there they are. I must have hit the button a little too hard. So Age of Sigmar models. This is hot. The mother and daughter duo, or the father and daughter duo of witch hunters, and of course the Slann priest. So what do we got here? So for the Broken Realms, we've got an updated facelift for the Slann Lord Croak as he gets into the action, and on a massive palanquin worthy of such a creature. Look at this with the broken palanquin now showing as it floats along, and you can see how something has gone wrong with the palanquin as it's been broken. The ivory horns, the trailing vines. It's just a beautiful model. It's so rich in detail and color. It needs to be done. The broken rings surrounding the model allow it to hover without a clear stand, and kind of recall the crowning detail on the Realm Shaper engine at the same time. So really some hot stuff. The other models, the father and daughter combo from the Witch Hunting Order of Azur, Galen Vendenst, an uncompromising new hero who's joining the ranks in the cities of Sigmar in the near future, and Dorelia Vendenst, daughter and up-and-coming witch hunter. Her heavy crossbow that's firing the equivalent of a ballista bolt into someone is something to behold.
It's freaking huge, isn't it?
Yeah, that's no joke. You don't want to be on the receiving end of that bad boy. I can just tell you that would be very, very painful. I love these models, and I cannot wait to pick them up myself. So
I mean, going back to the Slon Lord, that's I love like looking at some of these. Is
mhm.
there's all the recent organizations have gotten some type of giant Palanquin model, and they have all just knocked it out of the park. Like you've got the leafy vegetation, you've got you've got the this iconography at the top, just the fact that, and you kind of mentioned it, but the rings giving it the look of floating, but at the same time allow it model, allow the model to be supported while it still appears to be floating along. um it's really cool.
It's definitely going to be a challenging model to assemble. So take your time with it and glue it solidly. Next up, changing gears a little bit, Blood Bowl. Oh yeah, 2 new teams. It's coming along with that new Blood Bowl add-on book. We've got one for the Imperial Nobility, the Bogenhofen Barons, and another for the Black Orcs, the Thunder Valley Greenskins. Both of these are full teams of 12 players. The Imperials include 4 Imperial Retainer linemen, 4 bodyguards, 2 Noble Blitzers, and 2 Imperial Throwers. If you've not played Blood Bowl, you want all these. And it's a very fun game that you can play literally anywhere. You can even play it in a bar, and other people will watch if you're excited enough about the game and 2 players are playing. Other people will cheer your game. That's how fun this game can be.
Hey, Reed, real
Yeah.
quick. Sorry to break you, but we got a massive raid. We wanted to just say thanks for everyone coming in. Crimson Badger, come on!
Oh
like
my
we're seeing
gosh.
it right there.
Oh
Yes,
my gosh.
this is
Crimson
live.
Badger.
He just
Thank
was
you.
he was in the groove. He was in the groove. He didn't want to break stride.
Thank you so much, Crimson Badger. Oh my gosh, you've made my day so good. Thank you so much. If there's please come again and tell us all about what you guys are working on your tabletop games. In about 30 to 20 minutes, we'll be going into an interview with Luna, Gamer Mom Luna. So Crimson Badger, thank you so much.
And Jimmy the Brush actually brought them all here. So
Jimmy the Brush.
Thanks to Jimmy the Brush.
Oh, we love Jimmy the Brush. I love his paint show. I watch it all the time. Guys, if you haven't followed Jimmy the Brush, definitely follow Jimmy the Brush. He's got a great show. Definitely somebody you want to watch and hang out with. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with us today. Totally made our day with the raid. Back to the Black Orcs, because we need to finish off that piece of the news. These Black Orcs from the also come with 6 excuse me. The orcs are much simpler. 6 Black Orcs, 6 Goblin linemen. The price point, though, is Jeff, you were talking to me about this too, because you were very impressed with the price point. Only $40 for a full team. It definitely makes getting into Blood Bowl very reasonable.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, look, you're not only getting 12 models, but you're getting the tokens, you're getting the balls, you're getting the rules, you're getting all the little accoutrements. You're good to go for $40 with paints, of course. But that's really reasonable. Like, can you think of any other game that you're really spending $40 and you're set?
Yes, but they're much smaller and with no detailed miniatures. So no, but like it's just it's one of those things. Like I play a team called the Nuln Howitzers, because Nuln is known for their guns, right? So, but looking at this, I may start a Black Orc team because they're just hysterical with the goblins. The goblins are a riot. So definitely something I'm going to be jumping into here.
I like how the goblins are listed as linemen, but they're supposed to be the ball carriers. So
yeah, I'm not sure if that's a typo or what when they announced it, but all I can do is tell you guys what we were told, right? Next up, board games. Jeff, tell us about this next one from Exploding Kittens.
All right, so yeah, new game from Exploding Kittens just announced called A Little Wordy. It's a take on the genre of tile-based word games. In it, you basically will randomize letters, and then from those letters that you pick, you have to make a secret word, and then it's back and forth using clues that you trade the tokens for to try to figure out what your opponent's secret word is. And then whoever has the most tokens at the end wins. Very simple, just like most of the rest of the Exploding Kittens' games. But really nice, quick, relatively quick, but simple enough that you can do it on the go, which is what most of their recent games really have been. It does appear to only be a two-player game, which is a little disappointing. Just like their last one that came out a few months ago, it was also unlike Exploding Kittens being much more. But you know, for these type of on-the-go games, you really have to try to make it because the box itself, again, is used as
Part of the game.
part of the game. So
Mm-hmm.
makes it real easy.
All right. Next up, we're talking about Ares Games. Tell us about this one, Jeff.
So yeah, so Ares Games, for those that don't know, has really been getting in on the Euro game market and has actually partnered with a whole bunch of different game studios out in Europe, specifically Italy and France, and is bringing games over to the US in English. This one, it's a new game. That's being published in English by Ares. This one's in partnership with Pendragon Game Studios. It's Diabolic Heists and Investigations. It's an innovative hidden movement and deduction game designed by Luca Maragno and inspired by a famous Italian comic series, Diabolic. Um, it looks really cool. It reminds me a bit of Legend of the Scorpion. Or yeah,
Which is it?
ninjas. Uh, in that it's the idea that you're moving unseen without the other player's knowledge of where you're going until such a point where you
Oh,
do something and then it's a chase scene out.
I've played that. That's where the two assassins are trying to kill the
Yes.
people and stuff and complete their missions while the other players are moving their forces around
Right.
the
Yep.
the fortified home. That is a great game. And this does the same thing.
It appears to be in that same type of vein, right? That you're moving unseen until you're identified, and then it's a chase as you attempt to extradite yourself out, where it becomes a puzzle, and you have to complete actual heists and investigations as the two factions vie to achieve their respective goals. It's really cool. There's not a lot of details on it yet. But it is coming in August of the year. So
Mhm.
hopefully, as we get closer, there'll be more details. But it's definitely something in my type of wheelhouse of games that interests me, even if it doesn't quite get to that player number that I would prefer. I'm sure that I do have some more lower number player games that I keep that are more personal. Um, but yeah.
And next up, we've got the Kickstarter roundup.
Yeah,
Take us through.
going into some of our Kickstarters that we like right now. We got four nice ones. A couple of them you should probably, at least this first one, you probably should have seen if you keep any eyes on Kickstarter regularly. This is the big boy right now, the Mythic Battles Ragnarok game. 2 to 4 player skirmish adventure game that it's leading the game section of Kickstarter. It's got 8,000 backers, 1.4 million pledged, and tons and tons of miniatures, just like Reed likes it.
Oh
Um,
yeah, but you want the it's the weight of my heart
eh,
miniature. Yeah.
yeah, using that Norse theme, wide and varied selection of models. They fall into 4 different categories. You've got the gods, the heroes, the monsters, and then your regular troops. The Mythic Battles miniature line. This isn't actually their first Kickstarter. This is the second one. The first one being Mythic Battles Parthenon, and then now they have Ragnarok. So first Greek, now Norse. The humans, so basically the heroes and the troops, those are going to be your normal sized miniatures, be at 26 or 20 35 whatever millimeter, probably 35 millimeter. Um, but then you've got the gods, which are coming in at 65 millimeter, 2.5 inches tall. That's a tall model, especially compared when you put them next to the troops, to your human heroes. And then also there's imposing monsters that some of them, such as uh, Tiamat, or not Tiamat,
Fafnir.
Yormunder, they're looking at 100 millimeters, 4 inch tall models.
Okay.
So these are going to be huge, devastating models on the tabletop. Plus, just like with most things, the aesthetic just looks amazing. You can see that there's unique stuff across the board, really cool. Luckily, they didn't quite go, like Loki doesn't look like Marvel Loki. He's actually a bit more unique. Um, and then the rules themselves look pretty variable. There's multiple options for gameplay, both like a build your force before battle and then more of a campaign type setting. There's all different types of options for that going forward.
Hmm.
Really cool.
How many
You've got
players?
2 to 4.
2 to 4. So it's hitting your sweet spot of at least 4, but not 5 to 6.
Uh, for skirmish games like this is 2 to 4
That's
is
about right.
fine.
That's about
Yeah, yeah.
right. Yeah.
It's not a tabletop. It's not a board game. Board games are where I'd like to see 5 to 6. In a skirmish game, you really don't want to get more because then it just comes into competing tactics and stuff, and that's a whole different story. Got 6 days for this one. It ends on Monday, April 19th. If you are interested, to jump in on this one. All the pledge goals, stretch goals that have been released are just more models. So there's even more models that aren't even being shown here that are part of this. So pretty cool.
Awesome sauce. Next up, Sephiroth.
Sephiroth. Uh,
Sephiroth. Okay.
so another one that on the surface doesn't look too crazy, but like when you start diving in, one, it really caught my interest because I love to see um, card games that do really well in Kickstarter because it usually means that there's something special. For the most part, they don't tend to do great, and this one has done really well on Kickstarter, like really, really well for what it is, and it's just a Taro board game where it uses a Taro deck and or tarot deck, and you has 3 different variations. You can play by yourself in a solitaire mode. Know thyself is what they call it. There's a cooperative 2 player mode, so you can actually play with another person using the deck cooperatively. But and then there's a competitive 2 player mode, Warring Planets, if you so choose to play that way. Um, so you've got the cards shown here on the screen as well there on the far right. That is the actual game board from the competitive mode, where you each sit on one end and have places to play your cards. Of course, the rules are going to be telling you more what each card does and how they interact with each other. Um, but
Are those two Ouroboroses eating their tail? It
uh,
looks like it.
which one?
The competitive deck on the right hand side there.
No, that's a single snake wrapped in a figure eight.
I see 2 heads.
Where's the second head?
Look to the left or the right of the other one.
I only see one head.
You don't, dude. There's 2 heads there.
Oh, oh, you're talking on the board on the mat, like the
Yeah,
game
the
board.
mat.
Yeah,
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 yeah. So is that
yeah.
two Ouroboros? Oh, okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
I'm digging it.
yes,
I see the
yes.
symbolism that they've thrown into this. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, really cool looking, great art, interesting variation of gameplay, and the
Mhm.
fact that it's garnered so much interest totally caught my eye. And I definitely got in on it. Even if it's, I like having nice little things that you can play by yourself. Again, like I said, I like pretty games, so it's definitely pretty. But at the same time, it's something that has lasting power, right? Because the tarot deck's been around for a long time, and so anyone trying to make use of it to really push it to a interesting level is great. This one ends in 10 days, so you got till Saturday of next weekend, April 24th.
Okay, and this next cool thing is for those of you who like Dungeons and Dragons 5e, Symbaroum. Um, you want to really take the lead on this one, Jeff, because like I had to ask you questions about what this is all about because this, but then I started looking at the artwork and all I could do is just start drooling because this is truly a breathtaking, stuff it looks like.
And I mean, all you have to do is look in that top right corner and see Free League involved. And Free League has done nothing but push out extreme content after content after content. And this is just another thing to add to their to their feather in their cap as one of the preeminent RPG, TTRPG developers in the publishers in the game right now. Um, and just keeping up with it's tough. So this is yet another setting. This time it's for their TTRPG Symbaroum, which released back in 2016 in conjunction with Modifius. So this was originally its own game that came out in 2016. It is a pretty bleak and dark fantasy world with a deep backstory. And so it's looking to set a really nice setting if you want to go to that side of the world, to kind of that Grimm's fairy tale dark place. And so Ruins of Symbaroum is an adaptation of that world to the 5e rule set. And it's going to include a player's guide, a game master's guide, and a bestiary. Bestiary. Uh, this is a setting, so it already states that you do need your core 5e rule books in order to play this fully. So this isn't just using the 5e rules, but in its own rule set. No, these are actually set in the 5e core books type of rules, just in a different setting. So just
Yeah, yeah.
another plane to go to.
We've seen other third party publishers do a great job creating this type of content before. You've got Green Ronin, you've got Kobold Press, who were big fans
Yep.
of Kobold Press, and some other groups as well. So this is going to be exciting to see Free League release their take on some other stuff in a similar vein. So, um, and then next up we've got Scrap Racer, a little bit more fun kind of thing here. Tell us
Yeah.
all about this one, Jeff.
So I've talked about it over the last couple months. I think this is the fourth racing game that we've seen really or come up for announcement in the last couple months. Not just from Kickstarter, but from main. I mean, we saw there's one from Weird. There's another one from. Uh, they did one with the worms from one of those movies, Labyrinth. I think
Mm-hmm.
is getting a racing game racing. I say it lightly. And this is yet another one. But what really caught my eye is this is a game for up to eight if you have the expansion, 8 players in one game. Oh, holy shit. You know how many times I actually get 8 players around the table? One, not very often, but
That's
two,
because you never had a game that could do it that consistently, right?
exactly. That's the thing. Like a game that can actually has the rule sets to accommodate 8 players. That's really nice to have available. Even and it's from Queen Games. Queen Games has put out a ton of different games, Alhambra, and a bunch of other things. So they are a known quantity. This is going to be. It's already looking great. It's going to be something that's easy to put on the shelf and then pull off when you reach those higher numbers and need something there. But you can also play with less. It'll play with I think down to 2 players. So 2 to 8, I think, is it's with the expansion. You need the
It's got
expansion.
crash cards. It's got crash cards. So when you crash, different cool things can happen.
Another thing,
How do
it's a push your luck type of game too.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Which, yes, when you push your luck, crashes happen, and I love it. So it's got a good mechanic. It's got a high number of players. Um, Not only can the track be preset, like pre-built, but you can also kind of build it yourself, which makes the enjoyment even greater because it's not always going to be the same track every time. The different turns, different power ups at different times. Um, like we were talking about the expansion. Right now, the Kickstarter is going to include the expansion. If you wait until you see this on the shelves, it's going to be two separate. You'll have to buy them separately. So good time to get in on this one. Like I said, solid company, so it's going to be a solid game. I look forward to it.
Awesome. All right. And then the final thing for tonight's news before we get into our awesome interview is conventions. So apparently you want to walk us through this Privateer Press convention that I didn't expect this to actually happen, but it looks like it's happening.
So yeah, it's one of those things that I really wouldn't qualify it as a convention per se. But I did want to throw it on here for people that I like to watch. I'm a bit of a voyeur when it comes to games, right? I watch Twitch, right? So this is an opportunity if you like to watch War Machines and Hordes, like people play those games. They are hosting their virtual team championships starting this weekend and then the actual championships will be next weekend. You can see the times and dates up there. They're going to be having those available. They don't quite have the stream schedule out soon, but if you keep an eye on knightsmachine.com, they'll have probably some links and more details when it comes to where to watch them. But yeah, it's nice to see tabletop gaming. Now, exactly how they're going to do virtual team championships. So does that mean they're going to be, it doesn't specify how exactly they're playing, be it in virtual tabletop or in some other what's that other one? It's like virtual tabletop, but for tabletop games or for
Tabletop Simulator?
Not Tabletop Simulator, but
Tabletopia?
I don't know. I guess there's several out now.
Hey, chat, help us out. Which are the other tabletop simulators that are out there for tabletop games? Hook us up and tell us what the names are, because apparently we're all stuck. And you guys know everything better than we do. I can guarantee it. All right. So finally, I just want to mention Overhead Games once again. Overhead Games is our sponsor tonight. They're giving away, they're giving us a prize to give to anyone in the world, a fantasy starter bundle with 3 upgrade packs. It will let you build and create your own avatars for your games, or it'll let you make NPCs. So great, awesome images. You'll see some of that stuff in the mid break. And then also, if you want to enter the raffle, you need to type, excuse me, exclamation epic. Type exclamation epic. You can only enter one time, please. So only please type it once. And then from there, you will be entered to win. That will be given away at the end of the show. So, hey, this looks like a great time to take a short break before we transition to the interview with Luna, also known as Gamer Mom Luna from Tales from the Tavern. She's awesome. So we're going to be right back after this short break. If I could get someone in the awesome chat community to get a heist going, I'd really like to see that happen. And we'll be right back.
Bye.
we're back. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm joined by Luna, who you can see right next to me. She's right.
I am. I'm right.
Which direction
here.
are you? You're right here. Okay.
Yeah, I'm on that side of you.
You're on that side of me. Okay, great. So, hey, glad to have you with us today. I'm gonna be pulling up some stuff just to make sure I have it handy. We met a while back because we were networking, both of us kind of, and you were going through some transitions over with your whole network.
Yeah.
And we became kind of good friends, I think, in a little way. In
yeah,
a very
definitely.
quick way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were both like, well, how are you doing this? And how are you doing
yeah.
this?
Lots of growing pains.
How do you form a corporate structure? Is that really what you want to do? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You definitely want to do, it was great conversation.
It really was.
And it was kind of like a kindred spirit in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really, really awesome. I'm really glad we had the chance to connect and talk about all of that stuff, because it really, it was a lot of stuff that I should have known from what the channel I had been on previously. And I wasn't involved in. So,
are you saying that I added value?
You did. You brought value to my life.
Thanks,
Reed.
I do what I can. I'm glad I'm adding value to somebody's life, at least. So, just so people who don't know you like I know you, like where in the world are you?
I am wherever Carmen Sandiego is hiding. No, I'm kidding. I am in New Hampshire. So I am also on the East Coast, and about 40 minutes from the Atlantic Ocean, which makes me very happy.
Especially come hurricane time.
We don't get hit with hurricanes very hard here.
You're 40 minutes away. That's close enough to enjoy the beach, far enough away that you don't have all the detriment.
Yeah, it's true. No, we actually, like, most of New England doesn't get hit very often. It's been a good number of years since we've had a hurricane, like a really sizable hurricane.
Yeah, that far north.
Yeah.
But you get nor'easters.
We do. We get a lot of those.
Metric tons of snow.
Yes. Lots of ice. Yeah.
Lots and lots of it. Like
lots and lots of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We border Canada, like Canada's like an 8-hour straight shot north of where I live. So yeah.
So as we get to know you a little better, and know you always in New Hampshire? Is that where you grew up? Is that where
I am born and raised, stayed here for college, never moved out of the state. The only thing I did was bounce from one side to the other. I grew up on the Vermont side, about 45 minutes from the Vermont border. And when I went to college, I went to the East Coast to go to University of New Hampshire, and never left that side of the state. So
wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I like to travel, but I always wanted to, I always knew I wanted to be close to my family. So yeah.
What'd you go to college for?
Social work, actually. So my degree is in social work, and my day job now, after years and years of working in the social work field and doing direct service, now I'm a training coordinator for a statewide nonprofit, where I basically am behind the scenes making sure that our staff know how to do their jobs. So
oh wow. So kind of like the next level.
Yeah. I moved into management and directed a grant for a while and went, no, I'm all set with that one. And
the challenges of government funding.
Yeah, I was all set. I did that for a year and went, nope, that grant ran out, and I was like, no, that was fun. I'm all set working for SAMHSA. Thanks. So
absolutely. And for those of you who are watching all the way, by all means, ask all the questions you want. We see you there in chat. Luna is awesome. She's great people to talk to, and you can ask any question you want. So this is the time. If you've always wanted to know what her worst character flaw was in her latest character she's been playing, or what she's up to, or even, do you have a motorcycle?
I do not.
Yeah. Would you get one?
So I actually had this conversation with my dad a few years ago, and I said, I'm thinking about getting my motorcycle license. And he goes, have you seen how accident prone you are? And I went, good call.
Yeah. See, you could have asked that question had you been in chat. You could have beat me to the punch and asked really cool questions. So feel free to ask questions. If it's a really funny question, bonus points to you guys. So the more questions we get, the more likely I'm going to possibly do an additional giveaway tonight. So we'll see what happens. So, all right, gang. So So you grew up there, you did social work, which means, to do social work, it's a very challenging thing emotionally. And you have to have a lot of patience in many cases to do that and do it well. From your perspective, has that made your D&D game better, or your TTRPG games better?
In a way, yes, but more so because when, especially in the last few years, it's really been more about escapism for me than anything. My introduction to TTRPGs was with
let's
a
talk
very
about that.
yeah
Let's get into that deep journey.
So let's begin at the beginning.
That journey of enjoyment, personal pain, and then more enjoyment beyond that.
Right.
Okay, yeah, because I kind of know part of this story, I think.
Yeah.
Looking forward to hearing more of it.
So way back in the day, I actually grew up in a house where video gaming, tabletop gaming was not a thing. My parents were not fans of it. They still don't really understand it. Fantasy stuff was not huge. Like, I was into like Star Wars and things like that, and my parents just was not there.
Not having it.
Nah, and that sort of thing too. It wasn't even that they were opposed to it. They just didn't understand it. They didn't enjoy it. But so growing up, like, I would always see kids like playing Magic the Gathering in the school cafeteria during lunchtime, or, I sort of had heard about Dungeons and Dragons, but it was still like, it was just coming out of that like satanic panic thing. So I was like, oh no, we don't go near that, So I was a real latecomer to TTRPGs in general. I didn't start really embracing my nerddom until I was like in high school, and was really starting to own the fact that, like, yes, I someday would really like to get a tattoo of a dragon, and things like that. And so I didn't start playing TTRPGs until my mid-20s, and it was my now ex-husband was hosting a game at home, and we had just had a baby. So my daughter was like a newborn, and he was hosting a game at home, and it was started off as like, I'm in that new mom phase, like, I just want to go to bed, the baby finally went to bed, I'm going to bed. And then I was sort of like, I would like half hear what was going on, and so a couple of weeks later it was like, oh, I'm gonna read in the living room while you guys play, and like gradually moving closer and closer to the dining table, until finally one day I just went, all right, show me what this is all about, because this seems like something I could get into. So so that was where it started, really. And that was like 13 years ago.
Did you get a dragon tattoo?
I haven't yet, but this year is a big birthday year for me, and so I am planning it for my birthday.
You're going to get the dragon tattoo.
I would like to. That's my goal.
Okay. Outstanding.
Yeah.
So 13 years ago, you started playing Dungeons & Dragons.
Yes. Yep. I did. I cut my teeth on 3.5. Was the edition at the time. So
3.5 is a great one to start with.
Yeah, it really
didn't have anything else. It was great,
Yeah, it was. And it was for the longest time though, it was a lot of like somebody else telling me how to fill in my character sheet, because again, at the time you also didn't play with a laptop at your, there was no iPads, there was no any of that stuff. And so you didn't play with any of that stuff at the table. And so I would always be like, well, how do I calculate my AC again? And my friends would all look at my sheet and be like, it's 16, or it took me the longest time to learn how to actually calculate that stuff.
Yeah.
So
when you started all that and you got into it, what was the thing that drew you into the tabletop role-playing game genre? I mean, like, obviously hearing people say things and you were like interested, but what was it that, I mean, like, you heard stuff, you saw stuff, but there was something in there that basically went, I got to try this. Like, what was that?
So I am not a great actor. I'm not a great voice actor or anything like that, but I enjoy it. And so I think it was just the idea of getting to kind of have some of that chance to play somebody else without like being on stage or being on, in a public forum in that, in that type of way. So it was kind of a nice way to sort of embrace some of that, but also allowed me to sort of tap into some of that extra like nerdy stuff that I hadn't really had growing up that I was kind of curious about and wanted to learn more about. So I think that was what originally drew me to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And what's kept you coming back?
The people.
Yeah, they taste great.
They do. They
especially
really do.
in milk.
Yeah.
When you crisp them up really nicely.
Yeah.
No, that's not what you mean.
Yeah. So it started for a long time. It was something fun to do with my friends. We played weekly religiously for years. We played for 10 years at home, like with a home group, I mean, off and on, like there might be like a 6-month break or something like that here and there. And, some of the people would rotate in and out, just because of life and that sort of thing. But, it was usually the same group of people. And so I think that was really like a big thing because it was just a fun opportunity to get together with our friends. And then went through a divorce about 3 years ago. And I sort of like, I left the table, not because I didn't enjoy it, but because my ex-husband had sort of been like the catalyst for getting things going and that sort of thing. And so it was kind of like having to get through all of that and then sort of seeing where everything fell and, getting settled in my new place and, all of that. And then realizing I still have a group of friends that want to play D&D.
Yeah.
So we got back together and we started playing again. And
how was that like with you? I mean, like, because I got divorced too, and I can tell you emotionally that's some of the most draining thing you can ever go through.
It really is.
What was it that helped you like snap out of it? I'm curious, and because I know what happens. It happens to everybody. You snap out of it, and then you're like, oh yeah, I can live again.
I can live again. Yeah, that's exactly how it is too. It's like all of a sudden one day you wake up and you're just like, oh my God, I still have a life. But I think what it was for me was that I think it was really realizing that, like, I had started playing D&D with my friends again before I had sort of hit that point. And it was sort of that all of a sudden realizing like, oh, like these people really are legitimately here for me. Like they're not like, they're genuinely concerned with how I'm doing and how, we played at my house, even after the divorce, because my daughter and everything like that, it was just way easier. And, and it was just sort of like that realization that like, oh, like I still have these people that I can hang out with. And I don't need my ex-husband to tell me how to calculate ACs because I know how to do that. And, it was sort of that sudden realization that like, oh, I know this stuff. Like I knew it all along. It's sort of that, like, I knew it all along. It was deep within me all along. And, but
the friends we make along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a real adventurer now.
Yes. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So that was really, I think, what finally triggered me to snap out of it and sort of get back into a lot of things. And actually that's like when I made that realization was when I was like, that's when I started getting into streaming it on Twitch and getting involved with, sort of more professional productions of it. And then eventually, moving on to starting up a channel. So
let's roll that back a minute. Cause like, I think, you played for 13 years, you had a great time doing it. And, you didn't play for 13 years. You've been playing for 13 years.
Right.
And you've been streaming for a year and a half, 2 years.
Let's see. It's probably gotta be it's gotta be, about 2 years now.
Yeah. 2 years. So, 2 years ago, cause for us, it's just over a year now. So 2 years ago, you and some other people decided, it'd be fun.
Yes.
Let's do this and let everybody watch us.
Everybody
play.
watch us. So the funny thing for me was I was the outsider to the group at the time. I answered a casting call for somebody who had put it out, and it was literally the only connection I had with this person is that we both attended the same con every year, and that was the only way we knew each other. And that was still during that point of like, oh, I can do what I want. I'm a single person now. I'm a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. And so I was
the
like,
thing about
you know
being
what?
single. You don't have to ask anybody else for permission or consideration.
Yeah. All I had to take into
curse.
consideration was my kid's school schedule and like any activities that she had going on. So it was very freeing when I made that realization. And I finally just went, you know what? I'm just going to do it. So I applied, and I ended up, you know, he brought me in to have a sit down with him and the rest of the cast. We were all like friends of his already that, you know, he'd known from streaming and various other communities. And we all just like instantly gelled, you know, we just had, although it's funny because if you ask any of them, they'll tell you that I was like the really quiet and shy one when we first got started. And then I came out of my shell and they're like, put her back, you know. So
make it stop.
Yeah. But it's what ended up working out really well is after that channel went through its stuff, 3 out of the 5 of us still play together weekly. And that the only reason that the other ones don't is because one of them was the one who shut down the previous channel. And the other one, you know, was like, has his own stuff going on. So, you know, so there was that too. But,
so yeah, you got into streaming, you liked it. You were doing all these things and you got a little bit of a following and then a lot more of a following and then more and more of a following. And then you started Tales from the Tavern.
Yeah, so that was an idea that was sort of a brainchild of you know, one of those late night conversations where I was talking with one of the other cast members on the stream, one of the streams that I was on. Actually, that was the second stream that I started. So it was the only stream at that time. And you know, just saying like, hey, we've had such a great experience doing this. Wouldn't it be fun to talk to other people in the community and see kind of what their experience has been? And we didn't want to, and I still don't narrow it down to people who are just streamers or just podcasters. You know, we open it up to anybody in the community who's interested in coming on and talking. So streamers, podcasters, content creators, voice actors, you know, anybody that's in that area is welcome to come and hang out and chat. And the thing that's so much fun about that stream is it's a great bridge between the content creators, whether that be people who write stuff for, you know, for TTRPGs or create their own TTRPGs. We've had a lot of indie writers on, or and the community as a whole, like people who just want to get to know other people in the community, because all of our questions for our conversations come from chat. And that's the thing that I like the most about it, because every show is entirely different. I can't predict what's going to happen. And so we've had shows that have just gone way off the rails and just been downright hilarious and silly. And then we've had others. We just had one a few weeks ago where somebody asked a question that actually prompted a really great conversation talking about safety tools and consent checklists in TTRPGs. You know, making sure that people feel comfortable and secure at their table, like that they can have the conversations maybe with their DM or everybody at their table, and how that isn't necessarily just something that you have to deal with when you're in the public eye. Like, it's not just a streaming issue. It's not just a podcast issue. It's an everybody issue, regardless of where your table is, whether it's, you know, online or in person, it's streamed, not streamed, recorded, not recorded. So it was a really awesome conversation. And, you know, so sometimes that's just the way it goes. And I love it because you could ask the same question every week and you get 5-6 different answers every week, which leads to an entirely different conversation.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that I guess I took for granted for years because most of the people I played with for, the better part of 20 years, I already knew them backwards and forwards. There
Yeah.
wasn't a requirement for that
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
But now with all the people we're playing with, I can't imagine not trying to do that. And now I'm trying to get even better and better at it. And
Mhm.
what I've done is I've gathered every safety tool document and session zero document that I can find, and I'm trying to find all the best practices in all of them, and compile it into one. And I'm calling it the Session Zero project.
There you go. Yeah, that's a great idea.
And we'll see what we come up with. But like, which safety tools are the ones you use the most right now?
I think I mean, I don't know if you would consider a Session Zero a safety tool per se, but I think
I
it's
consider
really
it part of Session Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I think Session Zeros are huge in that you need to use some of that time. Like, sure, some of that time can be for character creation and goofing off and whatever, but you need to set aside some of that time to have the conversation of, lines and veils. What am I okay with acting out? What am I not okay with acting out? And what do I just not want at all? Going back to my social work background, a lot of work that I have done has been in the realm of child protection and child welfare and that sort of thing. I have a very, very hard time with violence against children, anything along those lines. So that's something that I put out to people. If this is going to be an outwardly, if there's going to be outward violence against children, I don't want to be involved in it.
It's actually something in our show that we don't do in any shows that we do.
Well, and I think a lot of people don't, but even having that conversation again, like when I was playing not on stream, and it was sort of that same thing. Like, people know each other kind of backwards and forwards at that point after a while. And so a lot of people knew like this was my background in work and that sort of thing, and something that I am personally very passionate about. But I think it's for anybody, like in general, I think you have to have those conversations where you can say, this is what I'm comfortable with and this is what I'm not comfortable with. And how do you want to handle it when something happens that you are uncomfortable with that maybe we didn't plan for? Do we stop the table right then and there? Do you just want to have a conversation with the DM? How do you want to address all of that stuff? So I think that alone is probably my biggest tool.
Have you ever checked out Monty Cook's Consent in Gaming?
Yeah,
that's a fantastic piece. Yep. For those of you in chat, if you haven't checked it out, definitely I highly recommend it.
Yeah, we keep it pinned in our tabletop section of the shared experience Discord. We keep it there available for everybody to find it really easily.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
I'm glad to see we're high-fiving yet another cool thing that we have in common there. Yeah. The whole Tales from the Tavern concept of having 4 to 5 guests and a speaker, but all of them talking in kind of a round table rap session there is kind of unique to your show. We don't do that. I don't think I could spend the time to find 5 guests every week, but I don't know how you do it, but you do it and you do it well. And I've even been on your show. I've been lucky enough to be a guest on one of those shows, and I had a very pleasurable experience doing it. And
it was a lot of fun having you on. Yeah.
And I think that fun has a lot to do with you and your personality as a gamer mom.
Aw, thanks.
Gamer mom Luna, because you are so positive, you are so bubbly, you are so, but I don't mean bubbly in the I'm a ditzy blonde kind of thing, but I mean like you're just bubbling with positive energy, and then you get excited and you're articulate in your discussion points, and then you're really great at working with the audience who, we obviously could do better, I think with that. But at the same time, are there times you've thought back and said, I wish I could do that differently, or no, this is working really great for us, we're going to high five this one till we burn?
I think it's more of the latter, although I'm not going to lie, I definitely burn out on occasion, and I'm like, I need to take a week off from this, or I need to, I'm sort of getting to the point where I've been going every week. I've taken 2 weeks off from the stream for between October and this past Sunday.
Mhm.
And every other weeks from October to then, we've had a stream.
Mhm.
So like you said, like it's a lot of effort having to go in and, get people to commit to a date. And I have absolutely like double booked people, or like overbooked the stream and had to go back and like figure all of that stuff out. Like I am not perfect with it by any means. But I try to, part of it is that I just try to own it when I screw up like that, and most people are very, very understanding of the whole thing. Especially because I'm like, oh my God, I totally goofed and put you down for the wrong day or whatever it may be. But I love it. I love the stream. Like it's the type of stream that like I could not be feeling my best that day, and I go into it and I leave and I'm like, that was great. That made me feel so good. Because it's just talking about stuff that I love with people that I really enjoy. And sometimes I learn new things from them. Just, maybe maybe it's just learning a new game, or maybe it's finding a new resource or something like that. And other times it's just getting to know people a little bit better, because this community is really, really big, but it's also really, really small. So, it's amazing to me when I go into a chat in a stream that I've never been in before, and I'm like, oh my God, there's 5 people here that I already know, and so it's always really nice to sort of be able to go in and be like, oh, that's a name I recognize, and how's it going? So I really love it for that reason. And one of the other things that I really love about it is the number of times people have come back to me and said, a couple of things. One thing that I get a lot is your stream was one of the most fun things that I've ever done, which means a ton. Like that means so much to me, because to me that means I'm doing something right, because everybody's enjoying it.
Right.
And the other thing is when people come back to me and say like, oh, I met the coolest people when I was on your stream, and now I'm doing this project with them or that project with them or that sort of thing. And I always think that's so cool, because again, going back to my social worker roots, part of what I do is connect people to resources. And so I just look at this as another forum for connecting people to resources. Maybe people that we didn't even know needed to find each other, found each other. And, there's a lot of times that like people have been talking about stuff on the stream and they'll be like, we need to talk after this, So
Oh,
I love that.
Happened
I
to me.
love that.
It happened to me on your stream.
Yeah.
I think I also get the same thing when I have the one-on-one interviews, but in a different kind of way. Like, it's not to say that it's better or worse. It's just different, because it's definitely not better or worse. I can tell you that from my experience. But so you've created this talk show. Then there was the catastrophe on the previous streaming network. You guys gathered from the ashes like a phoenix. Hence the reason I think you actually have a phoenix symbol.
Hence our phoenix logo. That's exactly where it came from. Yep.
I was just guessing at that, actually, to be honest. But you guys rose back up and in a matter of weeks put together a new channel, got your team, most of the team together, added a couple new faces, and now you're trying to grow from there, and you're doing a great job of it from what we can tell.
Yeah, it's been really quite an experience. As I had mentioned earlier, a lot of the streaming pieces, like just sort of the little things that you don't really think about, that I probably should have been involved with, but wasn't on our first channel, not out of choice, just because of how the channel was structured, are things that I am heavily involved in now. And it's, I think,
some of the kinds of things that you and I had talked about behind the scenes.
Like financials and, paperwork and all of the things that you don't really think about, but, it's all part and parcel of running a business, essentially. I mean, streaming is a business. And so, and then there's also the people management of it, making sure you have moderators and your cast is on their best behavior and all of that stuff too. But, Yeah, we did. We have an amazing group of people over there. And, I officially, we are an LLC, and I am one of 3 co-owners on the LLC. And and for us, that works really well. We sort of have, each of us sort of does our piece of it. And then, we have like our moderator team who we bounce ideas off of, but, the final say always ends up with essentially the channel owners.
Mhm.
And, we try not to make any major decisions without bouncing it off of our whole team and just kind of saying like, this is what we're looking at, because there's always things that you miss, like people saying like, oh, well, did you think about this? Or did you think about that? And so it's one more thing that we can weigh into that before we make a final decision on anything. But, ultimately when it boils down to it, like if we're looking at adding a new show, we're the 3 people who are going to sit down with whoever's pitching the show idea and kind of get a sense of what they're looking at. And, like right now we're in the midst of, we have 2 big fundraisers coming up in between May and July. And, so we're sort of like, we're the ones who sort of do all the planning on those things.
Mhm.
So, it's been an adventure, but I don't think we would be where we were if we didn't have the group that was so dedicated to putting everything together when we first started. We had a large group of the moderator team from our previous channel came and said, yep, I'm willing to help out however you need. We had a partnered streamer who we were connected to, who was willing to give us all kinds of advice on Twitch, like behind the scenes stuff, even just, silly things. It's not silly, but things like, encoding and OBS and, just things that we wouldn't have thought of, like how to tweak it to make it work a little bit better. And then we had made a lot of great connections with people before as well. So, bringing some of those people on as partners or, sponsors essentially, for our channel, we show their logo and they give our viewers a discount, that sort of thing. So, so we were lucky in that regard that we had a lot of people who were willing to stand by us and, help us out with all of that stuff. And I'm so glad that we did, because I love it. Like, it's truly a labor of love. And if I could quit my job and do it full time, I totally would, but I can't.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that's been exciting, to watch you guys grow and see how you guys are doing and see what you're doing that's causing that growth to happen, right?
Yeah.
And your community is warm and caring and hopefully here watching. None of them are asking any questions.
Well,
right, because you guys get like metric tons of questions, and
we do, but there's a stream running on our channel right now.
Oh, what's going on right now?
Our Star Wars stream is happening tonight.
That's right, the Star Wars stream.
Yeah. So they are in the middle of a Porg army fight.
Porg army.
Yes, yeah. There was
together normally.
We took advantage of the channel points and set a community goal for channel points, and the community rallied and said, yeah, we want to see a Porg army. And within 3 days, they had raised enough channel points to make this Porg army happen in the Star Wars campaign.
Okay.
So that's what's going on right now. Last time they met, they didn't have a show last Tuesday because of some commitments on a couple of the cast part, but the week prior there was a big swoop bike race, and it was like people were like super invested, everybody was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen, but we have a fantastic cast. That was another thing, we were really lucky. That show was supposed to start on our previous channel, and the whole cast said, yep, we're willing to go wherever. And so they were like, we just want to play. And so we lucked out. We were able to keep all but one. And that was just because of a scheduling issue, not because of a channel thing.
So many good things happening there. Yeah, and that's why when we started to reach out to different streaming teams, you were one of the first ones we reached out to for the charity that we're doing in May.
Yes. Yeah.
And we were not only excited to hear, yes, we'll do that, but here we'll also do this on Tuesday.
Yep.
A full show. So what's happened is we've got now this Super Tuesday where we have 3 shows at the same exact time, all pumping for this charitable donation.
Yeah. I'm excited.
That week. Yeah. It's going to be great and fantastic.
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
have you guys given back? I mean, like, I know you guys do charities too, but what are you guys working on?
Yeah. So we're in the midst of starting up our first real, like, one that we're doing on our own charity event that's going to be happening in July. We have planned an Extra Life charity stream weekend extravaganza, TM.
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling it. It doesn't really have a formal name, but we're going to do a weekend of streaming to raise money for Extra Life. We're partnering with the Discount Dungeons podcast. And so we just finished putting together the schedule and getting DMs signed on. So we're going to have Friday night one shot of 5e game, and that's going to be 13th, an entire party of 13th level clerics called the Amen. And then on Saturday is going to be almost a full day of streaming, starting with a talk show that morning. And then we've got 2 more one-shots scheduled that day with Ty Burris, who is the author of the Aether and Steamworks system, is going to be DMing a game in the middle of the day on Saturday. And then Stark Shinobi, who is a really, really great person in the community. Yeah, she's amazing. Is going to DM a game Saturday night, another 5e game Saturday night. And then Sunday, we're going to have another kind of something a little bit more lighthearted, probably like some kind of 2-pager that's going to be DM'd by our Star Wars DM, Atomic Zero. And we're going to wrap the whole thing up with the Tales from the Tavern. So we have a very ambitious goal of $1,000 set that we would like to raise for Extra Life, and fingers crossed we can do it. So that's going to be our first big, outside of partnering with you guys in May, that's going to be our first real big fundraising push, kind of on our own channel. That's just us working with Discount Dungeons. So I'm excited about that.
for us, we got that level out like last year, and we made our goal of 1,000 from 2 different channels that we had basically pushed. We had our YouTube, or not our YouTube, we had our online streaming thing, and then we had our Facebook donations, which totaled over $1,000.
That's great.
Now we're going for 2,000 or more, and it's for No Kid Hungry. So it's going to be a fantastic charitable.
I'm really excited about that one. I think that's going to be a good. I think that's going to be a good event.
14th through the 18th, it is a nonstop weekend, and then Friday has a whole bunch of stuff. We've got streams out of Japan.
Wow.
We've got streams out of Europe coming in. We've got streamers from all over the United States.
Yeah.
Faces, some new faces you're going to see a lot more on the Games Tavern. A whole bunch of people are involved. It's going to be huge. I
love it. Yeah, I'm putting together, I've already pretty much got the group for Tales from the Tavern that night, and I'm really excited about who's going to be on, because most of these people have been on it before, and every time they come on, it is a great time. So I'm really excited.
Excellent. When you, with the show you're on now, the actual play show, not Tales from the Tavern.
Yeah.
What is it about that keeps you going and enjoying that streaming stuff? Because there is, as you mentioned earlier, streamer burnout and stuff like that too. It's probably the people.
Yeah, it's the people. We have a very fun group in that stream. It's a great group of people. The DM and one of the other people that are on it are people that I was in another stream with on our previous channel. Then 2 of the cast members, we were on the same stream together on the previous channel. This was one stream other than Tales from the Tavern that carried forward to our new channel, and we had to replace 2 cast members on it. But the others, the DM, myself, and then the other 2 cast members all stayed the same. So that was kind of nice to be able to carry that story forward. I did have, on the previous channel, I had one story that basically ended, it stopped short because we couldn't keep it going because we lost the DM. And then, so this was nice to be able to sort of continue to see my character forward and be able to take her with me, so to speak. So that's part of it. And then it's just fun. It's a nice chance to just escape from reality for a few hours every day. It's a Pathfinder first edition campaign, so it's a really high fantasy, just a good time with good people. And yeah, and I think the other thing too that I will emphasize, we have had some breaks along the way because like we had somebody get married, somebody's on vacation this week, just things like that.
They have a life outside of the stream.
I know.
This is horrible.
Right? How dare they? But
Thanks,
I think
Beard and
that's
Bride. We saw that. We really did. Thank you so much.
they're so awesome.
Yeah.
So I think that too has helped, just because we get that week to, take a break and recharge, and then we can come back on it again fresh the next week. So that helps. Yeah.
If you could do things differently now, what would you do differently?
That is a tough question.
Yeah, that's why we ask it.
I know.
Easy questions. You need to go on a different show.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. I should have signed up for that one.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think for me, and this is strictly like for me and my learning, I would get more comfortable with the technology that I need to make my stream run smoother. And I would have done it earlier. I would have taken more time to do it before the stream really got underway on my new channel. I didn't have to do the production work for Tales from the Tavern on my old stream. I took it over with the new channel, which is great because it really should have been that way all along. But I definitely ran into some, they weren't really problems. They just like, I was making things more difficult than they needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had really sat down and thought about it, I probably would have figured that out. But I think for me, it was just, I had to learn it via trial and error. But knowing now, if I could have known then what I know now, that's what I would have changed.
Okay. Yeah. Do you run the production for all the shows?
No, I only run the production for Tales from the Tavern,
Okay.
actually. And then the DM for Star Wars does the production for that. And the DM for 50 Shades of Crimson, our Wednesday night stream, does that.
Okay.
But I have run production for other various streams just because of the nature of who has the gear and who doesn't, more or less. So
yeah, it's usually what it comes down to sometimes.
Yep.
I'm going to play a game with you real quick.
Oh boy.
If you were a D&D character in real life, like if you, Gamer Mom Luna, was a D&D character, you remember the old way back on the AOL days, ASL? Age, sex, location.
Yeah.
We're gonna do something alignment, background, and class. What would be your alignment, background, and class would be?
So alignment, I would say, depending on the day, I vary between true neutral and neutral good. It really just honestly just depends on how the day is going.
Background?
I don't like farmer. I don't know. I grew up on a farm, so
yeah.
Sure. And then class would probably be, I guess probably the closest thing I would have would be a ranger, or I don't want to say cleric because I'm not really religious, but somewhere in that area, like
druid,
maybe a druid. Yeah, maybe a druid. Somebody that has
Urban
the ability
druid?
to like heal, but not like, it's also not their primary focus, and somebody who likes animals, but that's not the only thing they do. I'm one of those people where I'm very easily like, I'm just interested in so many things. Like there's so many things that I enjoy and like and want to do and want to see. And I think trying to pigeonhole myself, I would be multi-class and I would be all of them.
Absolutely. What is your character in your current show?
Evie Hart is a level 4 ranger. Technically in Pathfinder first edition, they have an archetype of shapeshifter. So that's what she is. She is a shapeshifter. And so
How does that work?
Yeah, once a day she can shapeshift into a ursine form. So she takes a bear form once a day. And then because she just hit level 4, she also just got spells, and she also just got her animal companion. So as I said, the last stream when we had first hit level 4 and we were talking about some of that stuff with our characters, I said, I am now my own menagerie. So I can turn into a bear, I can summon nature's ally, and I have a wolf.
That is awesome. You've got all these animals in a small little place. And
yeah.
And does the bard, do you have a bard?
We do not have a bard.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Finally. Yeah. Where would your character, where would you go if you were a D&D character to pick up trinkets and goodies for your adventuring kit?
I would. Do you want like a real actual place that exists, or just in general?
And yeah, whatever. Make it up. Do whatever.
So if I had to pick somewhere in real life, I would probably go down to Faneuil Hall in Boston.
Okay.
Because it's basically like a giant, not quite outdoor open air market, but
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's gorgeous there too in the summer.
Yes. Yeah, it really is. And Boston's not terribly far from me, so it's an easy access kind of thing. So now, if I had to pick a real place, that's where it would be.
What trinkets would you buy as a Dungeons & Dragons character?
Well, not really a trinket, but I would have my bow, which just so happens, and I swear I didn't put this here on purpose, but I have right here.
Oh,
so I have an actual.
Is it a recurve?
It is a recurve. Yeah. It's not strung right now, so it's not quite the right shape, but
recurves often look backwards.
Yes.
When they're not strung properly.
Yeah. Because storing it strung is not recommended. But so obviously I would have to get a bow. And arrows, of course, and then a quiver to keep all my arrows in.
Now, how dangerous would you be to yourself or to others as opposed to your target if you did that?
Surprisingly, probably a good combination of both. The very first time I ever shot archery, I shot 3 bullseyes in a row.
Really?
Yeah. So that was great, except for when I snapped the string and it missed the guard, and I ended up with a really lovely bruise on my arm.
Oh yeah.
So a little bit of both.
I've had more than a few of those on my arm as well. As I've done those. Where are you guys going next in terms of your show? What's the next big steps?
Oh gosh, let's see. Well, show wise, so for the characters, they just hit level 4, so that's that was pretty big for some of us. Like my character just got spells, another character just got spells. But there's a class in Pathfinder called the Blood Rager, so it's kind of like a what do you call it, kind of like a barbarian mixed with a ranger, I guess. And so that character just got spells. So there's that, that's always exciting. We just got to a new location. So it's sort of a fresh start there. And the stream ended with a goblin ambush. So, there's that. In terms of like the actual production itself, I think that one's just kind of gonna keep plugging on. It's a good show. We have fun with it. The group that comes every week to hang out seems to really enjoy it. And we definitely have, like most streams do, we've got our regulars that come out for everything, and we super appreciate it. It's always really nice to see them. And I think, and then overall for the channel, we're looking to add a few other things coming up in the future. We've got a few more sort of pieces in the works, a few short not like a full campaign, but like a mini series, if you will, and something along there. So yeah, lots of stuff coming up.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And it sounds exciting.
It is. We're excited about it. We're happy with where we're at right now. We don't have any huge pushes for any big growth. I think right now we want to get through our fundraisers and see how those go. And then, we have a couple other things under wraps right now. We don't, we're not talking about them publicly yet, just because there's a lot of discussion.
We're going to have her back on later. Don't worry.
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion happening behind the scenes about some stuff that we're really excited about. I'm really excited about personally, just because the people that we're in talks with, I adore, I love them. So I'm excited about it. And yeah, I think right now we're just keeping on and enjoying what we have, and hopefully just, keeping up our community and keeping things, we really pride ourselves on being a sort of upbeat, positive community, like you said. So we just want to keep doing that right now. And as we go, then, hopefully more people will come with us.
They will naturally follow. I promise you that. Well, Luna, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please tell people where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I am Gamer Mom Luna. It's pretty straightforward. I am on the Shared Experience channel on Twitch. Tales from the Tavern is on Sunday nights right after your stream here. Actually, it works out beautifully. And then
on Sundays, the one on
Sundays.
Yeah, the paint show. That Minis Paint Show.
Yeah, that Minis Paint Show. Yeah. You guys wrap up right about the time we're going live, so that works out. And then
so for those of you who followed us from Jimmy the Brush, our paint show is on Sundays. That Minis Paint Show. Come on, hang out with us. We'd love to see you.
And then Wednesday nights, also Shared Experience for 50 Shades of Crimson. That's our Pathfinder first edition campaign. I'm in that one. And then, I stream on my own channel, where I'm a variety streamer. Usually I play video games, but I have been known to knit, and I am going to start, my goal for this year is to start dabbling into solo TTRPGs and try doing that on stream. So
okay,
we shall see how that goes.
You have one in particular you're thinking of starting with?
I don't yet. I'm open to suggestions. If anybody has any, feel free to hit me up on Twitter or in the Discord. And people have given me a couple of titles. I know I have one downloaded, but I can't for the life of me remember what it's called right now. So so I'm looking into them and trying to find one that hopefully will not just be me sitting there like doing the whole thing in my head while sitting on stream. So
yeah, I can definitely understand that one.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming onto the show, guys. You'll be able to catch this interview on YouTube separately from the other interviews about 72 hours after we drop this one. We got to do some editing to make sure it's just the interview slice. Luna is an awesome human being. Definitely check her out on social media at Gamer Mom Luna. And we will see you guys next week on the Games Tavern Happy Hour. And be sure and tune in tomorrow for the Velkin Weave season finale as we find out what happened after the Tiamat has been banished to, well, God only knows where. Anyway, see you guys next week. Take care, everybody.